Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly. Like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second, we break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And folks, if you tuned in tonight hoping for good news, I just want to apologize in advance. This podcast is basically a public service announcement at this point. We don't break news, we absorb it like emotional damage sponges. Every time Craig Breslow makes a move, I age like a president in office. Because today, the Red Sox acquired Caleb Durbin. Yes, that Caleb Durbin. And before we go any further, let's just say it out loud. This is not a bad player. This is not a useless player. This is not a guy who can't play baseball. This is something worse. This is a very smart front office move that absolutely nobody asked for. Joining me tonight is Nick Face, a man who has reached the stage of Red Sox fandom where hope is gone, anger has settled in, and acceptance is still nowhere in sight. Nick looks like someone who opened the offseason plan, read the words versatility and internal improvement, and hasn't known peace since. Nick is so angry right now, he's arguing with people on Twitter who agree with him because agreement without sufficient outrage feels like complacency. And John Martinello is with us here too, fresh off another offseason where he confidently said, "There's no way this can get dumber," only to be proven wrong by lunchtime. John came into the winter cautiously optimistic, not excited, not hopeful, just cautiously optimistic, which in Red Sox terms is basically asking for emotional violence. Since then, he's watched his team add redundancy, subtract intimidation, and sell it as flexibility. John is now operating entirely on sarcasm, disappointment, and the kind of anger you get when you realize the plan wasn't ruined. This was the plan all along. Let's get into it. The Red Sox trade Kyle Harrison, David Hamilton, and Shane Drohan and come away with Caleb Durbin, plus a couple of lottery tickets and a compensatory pick. And immediately, the analytics crowd jumps to the Prairie Dogs yelling, 2.8 WAR, 2.8 WAR. Yeah. Do you know what else Caleb Durbin does? He hits 256. He slugged 387. He hit 11 home runs. And he led the league in, checks notes, not striking out. Fantastic. Truly inspiring. Hang the banner. This guy is the perfect Craig Breslow player. He plays everywhere. He runs well. He makes contact. He doesn't embarrass himself. Caleb Durbin isn't flashy, and that's the point. Elite contact rates, squared up approach, low chase, keeps innings alive. He's basically a Honda Civic. Reliable, efficient, never breaks down. The issue isn't Caleb Durbin. He's useful. He'll play. Just don't confuse spreadsheet efficiency with lineup intimidation, because he isn't Mike Schmidt. And before we wrap this up and pretend we're not all slowly turning into baseball doomsday preppers, we got a little spicy nugget today that explains this entire offseason in one perfect snapshot. Apparently, the Red Sox were willing to deal a package headlined by Franklin Arias and either Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early to get Ketel Marte. Now that would be talking. That's a real player. That's a guy who steps into your lineup and immediately makes pitchers feel something other than comfort. But then Arizona countered with, cool, we'll do it, but we want Marcelo Mayer and one of Tolley or Early. And Breslow said no. Which, look, I'm not here to trade Marcelo Mayer for a bag of baseballs and a Groupon. I get it. I'm not saying you have to do that deal. But here's what kills me. That's the line. That was the line. You don't move Mayer for Ketel Marte, a legitimate impact bat, but you'll turn around and spend the rest of the offseason collecting versatile infielders like their Pokemon cards. So let me get this straight. Impact All-Star? Oh, wow, too rich for my blood. High contact infield chess piece? Yes, give me all of them. I want the whole display case. This organization keeps telling you what it values: cost control, redundancy, and upside. And it keeps punting on the one thing fans actually want: a lineup that makes October possible without divine intervention. With that said, it's time for us all to face the facts.
It's time for Face the Facts, where excuses get laughed out of the room, your feelings are irrelevant, and your opinion probably doesn't matter. No spin, no cope, just the facts. And now, your esteemed host, Nick Face.
You can keep those round of applause down. I thank you, though. Thank you for all those round of applause for all that. There it is. Thank you. I thought I heard boos out there, so I'm glad that there was somewhat of an applause that was there. What is my stance on this today? First and foremost, that was shocking to get that announcement this morning. All of a sudden, Jim's dinging, John's dinging, Thayer's dinging. I'm like, what the heck? Did somebody die or something? No, it was Breslow making a move. The big thing I kept thinking about here today, after kind of digesting, no pun, didn't mean to make that a pun, but is our new player, Caleb Durbin, better than Kyle Harrison? That's where I'm at. And I can't give you a definitive answer on that right now because we still have that unknown on what Harrison coulda, woulda, shoulda done here in Boston. That was the piece. That was the big ticket item for when we traded Devers. Right now, it feels like the Rafi Devers trade is going to go down as one of the worst moves this organization has ever made. It is disgusting what we have in return right now, which is one player. And his name, by the way, is it Barrios? What's his name? Barrios?
Bayo.
Okay. I like the fact that we have a guy that can at least make contact. I think that's one thing that is the positive here, and can be a pretty durable, capable guy. Is he flashy by any means? No. He did come in third overall for Rookie of the Year. I don't want to discredit that for Caleb Durbin, but can he handle the big stage in Boston? Jury's got to be out on that. We have to figure that out. The best news of the day, though, comes that David Hamilton is finally out of my life. Jim can no longer put him up in my corner anymore because that clown is out of here. So that was... Uh-oh, he might be making his return. Uh-oh, no. But I think that that's a great takeaway because we've all seen the cat with 9 lives get more than 9 lives on this team, and 9 times out of 10 screw up something, whether it was getting picked off of a base trying to steal, whether it was not being able to bunt, whether it was making a horrible play in the field, whether it was at short or second or whatever. I'm so glad he's out of my life. I don't care how much speed he had. It wasn't worth it, guys. It wasn't worth carrying him anymore on the roster and giving him innings. So that's a positive on that. And then I like the fact that Durbin can be durable. It's going to come down to what Marcelo Meyer is more comfortable doing. Is he more comfortable being a third baseman or a second baseman? Because wherever Marcelo Meyer doesn't go, that's where you're going to see most of Caleb Durbin, and then Connor Falefa will be sprinkled in a little bit into those situations. Is this a better defensive ball club than last season? On paper, absolutely. I'll take that. But the problem here is, who the hell is going to hit the baseball? Who's it going to be? We got Wilson Contreras. That's one name. we're going into a season where we have a lot of unknowns on who's even leading off. We went over it, I think, on our last show. Is Roman Anthony going to be your leadoff? Is Roman Anthony going to be a perennial AL MVP? That's a lot of pressure for a kid that we still need to see more of and see if he's actually durable and capable of playing a full season in the leagues. Marcelo Meyer was the name I also mentioned just a few minutes ago. Can this guy stay healthy? Glove-wise, we all thought Gold Glove-esque. When he was filling in for Bregman, we had no issues whatsoever with him playing at third base. We liked it. We had no problem with it. Very capable, almost very smooth and natural over at third base. Do I personally want him at third base? No, I want him at shortstop. I want Story over to second base. But that's how I would handle that situation. You also have that unknown of what the hell is going to happen in that outfield. Looks like we're keeping Jarren Duran. So now you got to figure out what Jarren Duran are you going to get? What Wilyer Abreu are you going to get? Jim, I really liked your tweet that you had earlier today where you were kind of figuring out what the lineup is going to look like. And it gave me a headache. I had to take an aspirin. I'm not going to lie. I had to take an aspirin because I just wanted to hit my head up against a wall. There is not one player on this team that I am comfortable with truly in any slots in this lineup. We don't have an ideal leadoff hitter. We really don't have a number 2 hitter. A number 3 hitter? You kidding me? I know you put Duran at 3, but that's just how the nature of the beast goes. Wilyer Abreu, you want him hitting cleanup? Get ready for a lot of strikeouts. I think Wilson Contreras, out of all the players that we have that are sprinkled into this team, at least you can say, I guess he can be a middle of the lineup bat. I like him better in 6 than 5, but because of where you're looking, Wilson Contreras is probably your number 4 hitter. Oof, that's not good. So overall, yeah, I'm okay with it. I think it's a steady move. I think it's an okay move. It just doesn't make me excited. That's my stance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll have to see
Very
how it
vanilla.
goes.
I think that's the best way I can say it. It's a very vanilla, hold the sprinkles kind of move.
Nick's Face the Facts is sponsored by Stat Relief, the only over-the-counter relief designed to ease pain caused by staring at Red Sox StatCast pages for too long. Stat Relief helps reduce headaches brought on by bottom-tier exit velocity, blue bar overload, and being told to trust the process for the 7th straight offseason. Works fast against symptoms like defensive redundancy, contact-first optimism, and sudden urges to explain why this roster is actually sneaky good. Stat Relief, when the numbers hurt, but denial hurts more. And now it's time for the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
So I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this because everybody says it whenever there's a big deal that happens, but everybody says it because it ends up being true much more often than not. When your team makes a trade, whether, this one's a medium, lukewarm deal, but you give it an hour or two, and then you look at what the other team's saying on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever. I did that today, and I could report I saw a whole lot more WTFs than cheering on Twitter from the Milwaukee fans. Did the Red Sox win this trade? I'm not sure. We're not going to know for sure until, a couple years down the line. But I could say I feel much more confident now in the Red Sox being a playoff team than I did yesterday. I think the Red Sox undoubtedly get better with this deal. And for those I know Thayer wanted Nico Horner. I think that you just got 5 years in a guy who has the potential to be 75% of what Nico Horner's contact ability is with 150% of his power output. So as far as this trade goes, I think that you get better, you get that infielder that we needed. And it's a lot easier now to head into the season, knowing that you're going to have that stability at third base or second base, wherever he ends up having the most of his time. But you know, the real problem that I think that we have left is really what Jim pointed out to earlier, is just like where the power is going to come from. And I know that we're going to hit on it later, so I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. But the reality is with this, Kyle Harrison, David Hamilton, and Shane Drohan are all depth pieces that weren't going to make any large contributions to the Red Sox this year, barring any plethora of injuries. And again, like you could have gotten 5 years of Bregman through his ages 32 to 37 season for $165 million. We passed up on that. You could have gotten 1 year Nico Horner, and you would have had to give up a Peyton Tolley or Connolly early. You could have gotten 3 years of Isaac Paredes for, again, Peyton Tolley or Connolly early and more. And you settled up on getting 5 years of Caleb Durbin for effectively just Kyle Harrison. So I think that, Jim and I talked about it earlier. I think that that's about as good as this front office could have done in getting that infield piece. And then beyond that, the Red Sox acquired this offseason Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray, Johan Oviedo, Caleb Durbin, and Jake Bennett. And they gave up not a single top 100 prospect in the process of doing that. You kept Tolley, you kept Early, you kept Weatherspoon, you kept Marcus Phillips and Anthony Eason, who aren't top 100 players yet, but they're guys that have the ability to top into those rankings this year. And I think that's honestly pretty impressive from Breslow and the rest of the front office. And I know it's just the pitchers and catchers that reported today, but there's a little bit of an electricity in the air from that, but I'm starting to feel quite optimistic about what this team is capable of.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of those points. The Martinello Minute is sponsored by Rage Fuel, the energy drink engineered for 1 minute emotional breakdowns caused by off-season press releases. Packed with enough caffeine to scream through contact-first lineups, utility infield depth, and yet another promise of internal improvement. Rage Fuel, because calm fans are what fourth-place teams want. So I want to kind of go into a little bit more about this trade. Again, just so that we are aware here, the Red Sox acquire third base Caleb Durbin, shortstop Andrew Montessario, and a second baseman Anthony Siegler, and a compensation B pick, I think the 67th pick. And again, just to review, Milwaukee receives left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison, who obviously, as John said, was the headliner in the Rafael Devers trade. Second baseman, Nick's favorite friend, David Hamilton. And then a left-handed pitcher who has really kind of been a face name in this minor league organization, Shane Drohan. Everybody pretty much has heard this guy's name at some point. He's just never really materialized, and we don't know if he actually really exists. We've traded him, or he was a Rule 5 pick to Philly, and we got him. It's been just a really weird situation for that guy. So my first question, Nick, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, we were looking for somebody with a little bit more pop in the bat. We can talk this over till we're blue in the face of Ketel Marte, Alex Bregman, and some of these others that, we were trying to acquire. Caleb Durbin was a rookie, was third in the National League Rookie of the Year voting this year. He actually was acquired by Milwaukee in the trade with the Yankees that sent Devin Williams to New York. This is the second straight offseason that this kid is being moved. My question to you, and then I'll ask John as well, do you have any red flags with the fact that this kid is easily to move, and the fact that Milwaukee is okay with basically moving him, and in my mind, not really getting a strong package back? I mean, why was this guy available?
It's an excellent point. That is right, that it was with the Devin Williams trade with the Yankees. So this would be another organization he's bouncing around to. And even though he finished number 3 in the Rookie of the Year voting and everything, Milwaukee says, "Yeah, we're okay with that. We're a better team without." It does give me red flags. It says, did he reach his true potential this season? And do they think that that's it? What you see is what you're going to get. For the Red Sox, they sure hope it's not. They sure hope that this is a player they can have for control for, again, 5+ seasons of quality baseball where they can figure out if he's a third baseman or a second baseman and get him into the lineup and hopefully be a run producer too. They want to shore up the defense end too, so they're banking on his defense being somewhat steady at either position. It's a gamble, and I think the Red Sox want to take that gamble. They haven't been very lucky, though, very often, have they, guys? So this is one of those where who's the smarter one in the room, the Brewers or the Red Sox? I think both players. I mean, we can even say the same comparison with Kyle Harrison. I mean, the Giants said, see you later. We're all set with you. We're going to get you out of here. And look at Harrison didn't really even do anything when he came back here in the big trade with Devers. What did he throw? 2 innings, 3 innings, something like that towards the end of the season. And there was nothing. It was okay. Nothing set the world on fire. Not with any of the hype that Peyton Tolley and Conley Early did. So that's why on the depth chart, Kyle Harrison was a lost cause for at least this season because he wasn't really going to get a chance. He was going to be going to Worcester. He wasn't going to be doing anything unless he had an amazing spring, and the Red Sox had no other opportunity than to either put him in the rotation or put him somewhere in the bullpen. So the more you think about it, as much of it to me is a vanilla move, I would have rolled the dice on this. I like it because I think it at least gives some stability where you didn't have much of it for the infield. We got rid of David Hamilton again. I am ecstatic about that. And it didn't cost you your Conley Earlys, your Peyton Tolleys, your Marcelo Myers. It didn't cost you those. I'm in the camp of saying that this is good. This is good business. I'm okay with giving it a chance. If it fails, it fails. But you at least tried. You did something. I give it a B minus kind of deal. It's one of those hit or miss, depending upon what happens. Roll the dice, see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm kind of in your camp too, Nick. My feeling here is I don't hate the move, but I'm not sure if I like it yet. And I think the only way to know, is time. You know, will this kid grow on you? Will he be, a guy that look, I'm not looking for him to be Mike Schmidt, like I mentioned in the open. But if he could be Alex Bregman, could he be an above average, defensive third baseman? Could he be a number 3 hitter? Could he be a guy that will, flirt with a 280 average, 20 home runs? Because, I mean, that's essentially what Alex Bregman is. And I have a stat that I'll put up in a few minutes. But, he doesn't jump off the page. I don't think anybody's going to say that. But the one thing you brought up, Nick, which I think is extremely important, then I'll ask John his take, stability. I have been a proponent of the Red Sox way, and that way has been 1 or 2 year deals on the free agent market over the last 5 years, and it has driven me absolutely ape crap because all it causes you to do is spend higher on, elite talent, or you're overpaying B or C talent, if you can follow my logic. Mm-hmm. And then you have to go back and dip into that free agent pool again the following season. Instead of just acquiring someone with 4, 5, or 6 years of term and have some stability there for a while so you don't have to keep jumping in to that market. Now, you also mentioned this too about them making attempts in the past, and they did. Chris Sale for Vaughn Grissom. I think that was a guy that they really thought was going to be a mainstay as an offensive threat at second base for a number of years. It didn't work out. Last year, Christian Campbell made the opening day roster. They quickly gave him $60 million. They thought he was going to be the next staple and long-term solution at second base. It again didn't work out. So this is another opportunity here. He's a 25, 26-year-old kid. I think his better days are in front of him, like Breslow said in the presser today. Let's see how it goes. But John, my question to you is the same with Nick, is, why are you concerned he was available? And are you concerned that he's easily flipped? And why is Milwaukee basically letting him go for a really poor return in my mind?
Yeah. So while we were texting earlier today about, all the moves and whatnot, you asked me this question, and my answer to you then was, for as far as why has he moved now twice in 2 years? And I said, with the Yankees before that, what do they do with all of their prospects? It's they keep them down, and we're at summer. I don't even know where their minor league affiliates play, but they all stay down in AA, AAA. Look at Spencer Jones right now. He's 25, going into his age 26 season. He's still in AAA, and he's been the guy. But they don't call up any of their guys, and once they do make it up, they're 25, 26, 27 years old. So it made sense moving him to Milwaukee from the Yankees. And then, third place in Rookie of the Year voting in the National League this year. And now gets moved again over to the Red Sox. And I said to you earlier, I don't know why he was available, and I don't know why they accepted that offer. Last time the Red Sox dealt with Milwaukee, it was the Quinn Priester deal last spring. He ended up being phenomenal for them, and I'm sure that they see a lot of those qualities that they saw in Priester and Harrison. And for what it's worth, I think that it could, on year one, this trade could be a win for both teams, and I'm absolutely fine with that being the case, just because of how much depth the Red Sox have in the starting pitching department. But diving in a little bit deeper, when I alluded earlier that, when a trade gets made, you look at what the other team's fans are saying. And I looked up the Locked On Brewers podcast. Their guy, Chuck Fremont, did a show earlier. And this is a quote directly from him at the top of his show. I was stunned. There's a handful of guys on this Milwaukee Brewer team who are really Pat Murphy guys who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty, stick their nose into the dirt. It's Blake Perkins, Sal Frelick, Bryce Trang, and this guy right here, Caleb Durbin. He said, those are the guys Murphy really, really loves. Those are the blue collar type guys. And, when I hear something with that, I think it holds a little bit of weight, a decent amount that you can't really ignore. So, to answer your question, I think that, the Brewers have Jesus Made, who's a perennial top 3 shortstop in the prospect rankings right now. And I think that he's going to make an impact on the roster this year. And I think that they just had the availability to go get a pitcher that they really liked. And a pitcher that we didn't really have a use for, and everybody's happy at the end of the day.
Nick, I think you were raising your hand. You had another point you wanted to make. If you can, go ahead.
Oh, don't you worry. Johnny stole my thing that I was going to say on the whole thing with Priester. They are hoping to God that Kyle Harrison will drink whatever Kool-Aid Quinn Priester did to reinvent himself to be another stud pitcher in their rotation. Without question, one of the major reasons why the Brewers made this deal. They want to catch lightning in a bottle here, shake it again, do their Houdini magic, and then voila, Kyle Harrison becomes another stud in their rotation. Don't be surprised if you see that happen.
I'm not discrediting that at all. I mean, obviously, Milwaukee found something in Priester who couldn't, really take it to the next level with the Pirates, right? So we acquired him, and the Red Sox either didn't see something they liked, or they felt as though they couldn't tap in. I don't know what the reason was, because I mean, he had a very short cup of coffee, I think, at the end of 24, right? And he didn't look really bad, but he didn't look good. But he just didn't have.
Didn't say, oh yeah, he's definitely going to be in the rotation for 2026.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah.
Not
So
at
there
all.
wasn't really much meat on the bone, and I think the same thing happens here again with Harrison. And obviously, Milwaukee has a way with pitching. I mean, it's pretty clear with what they've been able to do over the last number of years, and they've been a perennial contender with their guys. So we'll see how it goes. John, I have this graphic up, obviously, head to heads with stat heads, and I'm not making any kind of real concrete comparisons to a 10-time, playoff and all-star in Alex Bregman to Caleb Durbin. But, if you just kind of like look at these numbers, and I'll get your take on this a little bit, if you want to look at it from the financial standpoint, you brought this up kind of a little bit, a few minutes back, but if he is going to play third base and you look at where these numbers are, it may not be out of the complete left field to say that he can't put up. I know Bregman we lost for 2 months, but he's on the decline. I think it's pretty clear. Bregman is not going to be the 40 home run guy that he was with the Astros, but maybe we caught lightning in a bottle here. Your thought?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stats and you see everything, top of the list to the bottom. Everything's a step behind what Bregman was last year. And what I take away from that is it's a guy who, Bregman, a guy who was 31 years old, had probably the best 2-month start to a season that he's had in his career last year. And then obviously, once he came back from his quad injury, everything didn't fall off a cliff, but he, everything by the end of the year kind of went back to pretty much what he is as a player. So, you look at Caleb Durbin's numbers, and everything's a one step behind what Bregman's is. And, Craig Breslow sees a guy that, I think Bregman's like an inch taller than him, but almost the same frame. And, I'm sure his computer model, projects that Caleb Durbin is going to be a guy that could get close to Bregman. You said that you're not comparing him to Bregman. I'm not comparing him to Bregman either. But I think that when you get a guy for 5 years of control, cost control, or your other alternative is $165 million, I think that you are very happy taking this gamble, and you have a long leash, or at least a couple of years of a leash to kind of feel that out and see what you get with at the end of the tunnel.
Nick, your thoughts?
I'm just glad that we don't have to sit through a 5-year commitment to Alex Bregman. The more I think about it and be real with it, am I that mad that he's not here? I'm not. It's just a matter of the replacement. That's what I think bugs me the most, is that you really didn't do anything. You had options. You had your chance. And now we're settling. I hate when that settle feel sets in, because now we're on the backup of the backup of the backup plan. And now we're hoping, I hate using that word, that this is going to be okay. We're left kind of with our hands up saying, well, they did something. Like, there's a couple comments, and I know we're going to get into the comments and stuff that some people say are chirping about here. How can you compare Bregman and Durbin? Again, you can't, folks. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to tell you, there's your third baseman last season. Here is your potential third baseman this season. You need to see those numbers. Whether you like it or not, this is what you see. And there are some positive takeaways here from what Durbin did last season versus Bregman. I'm not saying he's Alex Bregman, but the biggest thing that stands out to me is games, folks. Games right there, 136 to 114. Alex Bregman is not a durable, reliable player anymore. So good luck to the Chicago Cubs on that. Good luck to you, because you're not going to get 130, 140 games, most likely, out of Alex Bregman again in his career. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but that's the truth. Durbin, again, younger, has that ability to play in more games, get more plate appearances, get more experience out there. I like how he has speed. Speed is something that we know that this team has if it uses it effectively and if they get on base. Well, Caleb Durbin is one of those guys that, believe it or not, doesn't strike out 100,000 times a season. I'm exaggerating on that because that's kind of what I do. I like to exaggerate sometimes. But he puts the ball in play. He moves runners along. What a perfect compare, or what a perfect contrast that would be, rather, with the Duran-Durbin lineup. I don't know where they would slot in, but think about speed and then a little bit more contact there. That may help Jarren Duran in this lineup if he has a player that's like that, which we never did last season. We just didn't. So that's just my take on it. You don't have to agree with my take. That's just how I feel at this current moment with analyzing, breaking down what transpired from today. We are a better team, as John said when we did this show, with Durbin than without Durbin. So, folks, get used to it.
Yeah, again, I do like the move from a certain standpoint. The one thing I say earlier, and I think I want to stick by it, is I don't hate the move, but I'm not sure I love it. But I like the potential here. But yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at the comments yet, but anybody thinks that I'm comparing the two of them, that's not what we're doing here. We're solely looking at the fact that you got Durbin for essentially league minimum, whatever it is, because you put your resources into pitching. And will Alex Bregman be an arbitrage contract, by year 3, year 4, year 5? Here's the other thing is too, if in fact that Bregman is going to be the Cubs' second baseman, it's, I think it's pretty well regarded. I don't know. I'll get you guys' take on this. Second base is a harder position than third. Third base is more of a reactionary position because of especially right-handed batting and that ball coming up on you very, very quickly. Second base is a lot more going on. The pivots, who's covering, turning double plays more so, all of that. If Bregman, as he ages, in my opinion, doesn't look like he's going to be a better second baseman than possibly a third baseman. And that just comes with getting older. Nick, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on that take?
I don't know. I never understood when the Cubs came out and they signed Bregman that he said, well, he's going to immediately play second base. It just never made sense to me. And now as this offseason is still going, the Cubs still have Nico Hoerner. They still have Matt Shaw. What is that organization doing? You just can't go into the season with that mess. You don't have room, especially when you have Dansby Swanson at shortstop as well, where you gave him the big contract. So you're not going to move him. You're going to put a guy who's been a Gold Glove winner, which is Bregman, over at a brand new position when you got a guy like Nico Hoerner. I know it's on a 1 year kind of figure it out what they're going to do over the long term, but Nico Hoerner was a great glove at second base. If I'm Nico Hoerner, I'm bullshit right now over what this organization is doing, and I'd want out. This is my take. This is my opinion. So I am pretty surprised that Hoerner is still a part of the Cubs, in all fairness. I really am. Will that happen as the opening day hits? I don't know. But if the Cubs really are believing in Shaw, it seems that way. It seems like that's going to be their third base guy, and then Bregman as their second. I think they got it backwards, but that's just how I'm feeling here. I don't like Bregman going to second base for them.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. The other part about it is too, when you talk about Nico Horner, and it's, he is a free agent at the end of 26, so he's going to want to play every day, and he's going to want to have a hell of a season because
Sure.
he's playing for a contract. He's playing for his big payday.
You know what's
Um,
interesting? Before you go to John, you know what's interesting? So I just said I wouldn't want Alex Bregman as my second baseman for the Cubs. But if we go back a year at this point, when Bregman came to the team, I would have told you, oh yeah, I'm all good with him playing second base. It's just it's so dumb. It really is. Alex Bregman should, in all essence, be your second baseman for the Red Sox. Yeah, he really should be. Imagine
John
that, guys. We'd have Bregman and Devers. How about that?
should have.
And this show wouldn't even be existing right now because we wouldn't be talking about Caleb Durbin right now. We wouldn't.
John, quickly your take on those comments with Bregman, second base, so forth.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think that the whole Bregman second base thing kind of really came to light because all of the reports on the Cubs exploring options with Nico Horner. If he's going to be on the team, I can't imagine that we'll ever see Bregman at second base, even if Horner is injured for any period of time. But going forward, if he's not on the Cubs next year, if he signs somewhere else in his free agency, or if he gets traded before the deadline, I think that in that case, then you probably will see a decent amount of time split between third and second between Matt Shaw and Alex Bregman. But yeah, I mean, I think Nick nailed everything on it, which, yeah, you go back a year and we wanted him at second base, and then now it's like we'll pump the brakes on that. Like, that's probably not the best idea for Bregman as he ages, but it's hindsight 2020. Like, as long as Nico Horner's on the team, I don't see Bregman's playing an inning at second base, barring an injury.
Just switching
Then they would have lied to him just like the Red Sox had lied to Bregman last year. Deja vu.
So for everybody that wants a little bit of a different comparison, so this would be more of the first with Bregman, obviously, is more intangibles about the switching of position, the financial commitment, what you got versus what you didn't get. This looks at it from a different perspective because now we're talking about a little bit more of a head-to-head comparison here with Matt Shaw, who obviously was in the rumor mill quite a bit, as we talked about earlier, and another guy who's essentially a rookie third baseman for a National League club yet again that looked like he was on the trade block. Again, same similar questions. Why would someone who is a rookie be available? What do the Cubs know that we don't know? All of that. So here's a comparison, obviously, from Shaw to Durbin. There's a 10-game mismatch there. But, looking at these numbers, and John, I'll start with you. Pretty lopsided, not majorly, but there's some lopsidedness there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Matt, if the Red Sox were to go and get Matt Shaw before they got Durbin, it would have cost a lot more, and I think that played a major role. And
that's the bigger issue.
Yeah, that played a major role in kind of why we have Caleb Durbin on the team today. And Matt Shaw, he had a very rough first stint with the Cubs early last year. I think it was like something around like a 60 WRC plus before he got sent back down to AAA. But once he got himself right, made his adjustments, came back, he was a really good player for the second half of the season. And I think he's a step ahead of Durbin as of right now. And then Matt Shaw has the power threat more so than Durbin does. So, statistically, how last year went, you could see it right now. Pretty much every single statistic outside of the home runs and the slugging percentage, Durbin let in, and I'm not going to pay attention to the top of the screen because nobody above me or below me right now cares about that stat. But
thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that a lot.
yeah.
Because I would be going to war with you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that on a talent level, or at least what they've produced so far after their rookie seasons, they're pretty comparable players right next to each other, and Durbin probably has a leg up on Shaw right now. But just what the potential is for Matt Shaw, I think, from a worth-wise, is why he was more expensive, and he has a little bit more of the what if than Durbin does.
So, John, just to be clear, you feel that the upside is higher with Shaw?
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, your thoughts on what this graphic shows, and it appears it's clearly all about what the asking price was.
I am opposite than John. I like Durbin better than I like Shaw. Number one, I hate war. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to look at it. I think it's one of those stats, Jim, you and I both agree on this wholeheartedly. It's one of those that I think it's the biggest nerd fest going. I'm not saying you're a nerd, John. I don't want to make sure.
That's all right. I take it as a compliment.
I just look at that and I say, okay, great. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more evidence. I think anybody who comes out and says you have a 4.8, a 4, whatever it is, I look at, I'm sorry, I'm old school. Batting average, games played, hits, strikeouts, all that jazz together, on base. I look at those over the long haul to see how my players project on my team. I always thought that if the Red Sox were going to go after Shaw, I was going to be disappointed, because as much as there's hype and there's smoke, I don't know if there's enough fire there for me to feel like I'd be confident enough with him being a mainstay for the Red Sox at third base. For the Cubs, that's their guy. It seems like they believe in him, as far as we know from this offseason. But I'm really happy, Jim, that you put this up, because it gives you a chance to kind of see, at least for last season, where things were at. Obviously, when you look at it, Shaw had the better WAR, 3.1 to 2.8. Not that drastic, but it was great to see. The amount of games was pretty equal. The power, 13 to 11. I mean, you could kind of flip a coin on that. Now, who has more power over the long haul? I will give that one to you, John. I do think Shaw could have the power for that. But my problem here is, if the Red Sox took that gamble and made that trade for Shaw, you also have other players in your lineup currently on the Sox that think all they want to do is jack the ball out of the park. And what that leads me to believe is that's going to be another strikeout guy, another guy that's not going to move the ball and put the ball in play to move runners along. This is where I feel like Caleb Durbin fits into this Red Sox squad a whole lot better and can help more manufacture runs. And I think that to me is more of the leading factor here on why I'm more team Durbin than I'd say team Shaw, at least for how this team is put. Now, if you didn't have a bunch of William Abreu's and Durans and whiffers, maybe he would be a better play over the long haul. But because of what you have on your roster, you desperately need a guy who can put the ball in play. I have been preaching this whole offseason. So to get a guy like this that can do it and can pepper the monster or just go opposite field, just get a base hit and move the guy along, I'm all for it. The other big point, and I don't know if we're going to get into this after this segment here, the Red Sox have a little bit of a issue going on with another current, whether first base or second baseman, going into spring training, and that is Romy Gonzalez. There is a Romy Gonzalez problem right now, where if you went into the season right now without making this trade with Durbin, and say you didn't even make the Connor Falefa deal, you are in a world of trouble because Romy Gonzalez has a shoulder issue and they don't even know if he's going to be ready to go come this season. That is scary because the Red Sox survived last season with Romy Gonzalez. Yes, he was overplayed, but did he do a heck of a job from it? Yes. But this is the cost of a guy that was a true kind of journeyman platoon kind of guy. That's what Romy Gonzalez is. Probably against left-handed pitching he plays. The Red Sox didn't have a choice. They had to play Romy Gonzalez in a whole lot more games than they wanted. They gambled, and they got a great season out of Romy. Can Romy Gonzalez do this again this next season? I'm going to come out and say, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm going to say no. You are not going to see the same season that Romy Gonzalez put up this upcoming season. Maybe he'll be fine against left-handed pitching, but against right-handed pitching, that scares me because I think the league is going to have the book out on Romy now after seeing what he went through from 2025. So this gives more roster depth and flexibility with this move. Again, I'm more team Durbin than Shaw. I like it.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I think Durbin as of today is a better player than Shaw. From the perspective of how teams value the players, I think that Shaw has the higher ceiling than Durbin at this moment. But I'd rather have Durbin than Shaw.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Let me kind of give you guys some food for thought here on this, because it may sway you one way or the other. I mean, first and foremost, Shaw's a younger guy. He's 23 versus 25. So let's just assume that, but you kind of build into your body a little bit as you get into the mid-20s and so forth. But here's a couple of interesting stats. Okay, so we see that the Powers, edge Shaw two home runs. Stolen base is very close. Caught stealing, Durbin 6, Shaw 5. Walks, Shaw 38, Durbin 30. Here's where it really changes. Strikeouts. So in 506 plate appearances, Durbin 50 strikeouts.
That's tremendous.
Shaw 437 plate appearances. You're talking almost 70 appearances less. Yep. 94, almost double the amount of strikeouts. So that's a really important thing here. On base percentage advantage, Durbin 334 to 295. Obviously, OPS 721 versus 690. Durbin had 24 hits by pitch.
Led the National League.
Another Kevin Youkilis.
So another Kevin Youkilis. So he's either kind of leaning.
Does he waddle like a duck too?
I don't know, but
he's 5'7". He might.
Yeah. Hey, careful now.
You might have one of those kind of at bats like Youkilis would have. So there's some things there.
I mean, the biggest thing, Jim, that you mentioned right there is the strikeouts. It's this guy puts the ball in play. I can't stress it enough. We haven't had a guy like this in ages. Maybe Xander Bogaerts was the last guy. Xander, at least to me, always kind of gave you a true quality professional at bat. You can even make the case with Pedroia. Pedroia was a classic guy that would make contact 9 times out of 10 from it. This is gigantic for this team. Now, I have one stipulation. Keep them away from Fatsy. Keep them away.
Yeah. Just looking at a couple other statistics here to try to wet your whistle on the two of these guys. Just going to look at, if I can get it here, runners in scoring position. Shaw batted 174 with runners in scoring position, 19 strikeouts. Durbin, runners in scoring position, 258 with 13 strikeouts. So he's going to be a little bit better with runners in scoring position. Kind of an important thing right there. If we look at 2 outs, runners in scoring position, let's see here. 2 outs. Let's see if I can find that one.
Jim, while you're getting that, one of the things that when I was going through all of Durbin's statistics today, favorite thing I saw in the clutch in last year, which was, I think it's like 8th inning within 2 runs, 8th inning or later within 2 runs, 48 games, 59 at bats. He hit 322, 379 on base, 542 slug, which is a 921 OPS.
Yeah.
That
here it is.
Right there.
Here it is right here. So Shaw, 2 outs, runners in scoring position, $132, 9 RBIs. Durbin, 246, 21 RBIs. So Durbin is more clutch in that regard. Let's talk about leverage, because I'm a big leverage guy. High leverage situations. Okay. High leverage situations. Durbin, 327 batting average, 23 RBIs. Shaw, 186, 15 RBIs, but 186. Durbin had a
Jim,
3.
You did your homework there. You did your homework.
Yeah,
this is very eye. That's very eye popping.
Yeah, high leverage situations. Durbin on base percentage 376. Shaw 271. OPS in high leverage situations. Durbin 805. Shaw 593.
No, there's no comparison right now. None.
Okay, that is high leverage. 32 hits in 98 at bats. Shaw 11 hits in 60 at bats. And again, I understand Shaw's younger. He may be not developing yet, so you can't put this apples to apples. I mean, Shaw can grow a little bit, but did we get the better player? I don't know. Time will tell. We don't know if Shaw can develop a little bit better as he's continues to be a major league player, but as it is right now in a vacuum for what you got and the probably high price you were going to have to pay right now, this is a win between the two of them. I think we can all agree on that. John.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing that I really do like about Durbin, his stats, whether he's facing a righty or a lefty, a starter or a relief pitcher, everything's about the same. You don't have the crazy splits that you see with a Duran or that you see with a Willie Abreu. Everything that he's not there's no chance that he's going to be a platoon option. He does about the same against every single type of pitcher that he's seen so far in his career, and I think that goes a long way for when Alex Cora is going to be putting out that lineup card every single day, and it's a lot easier on him and a lot easier on us to just see his name, whether it's third base or second base, every single day, because it's going to be about the same production.
Now, one thing I will tell you, if you're looking at power versus finesse pitching, Durbin against power pitchers, 185 batting average, 17 strikeouts, not great. Shaw 229 with 29 strikeouts. So Shaw is going to strike out more against power hitting. So he's just not a guy that clearly is going to put the ball, the bat on the ball more than you want to. But finesse pitchers, big difference here. 313 batting average for Durbin against finesse pitchers, 196 for Shaw. So he's not really hitting power or finesse pitchers that great, Shaw. At least finesse pitchers, you're getting, more meat on the bone with Durbin. So just another, thing to look at in that regard. Nick.
I this could go down as one of those steal kind of trades. Maybe this is the one that we say, okay, maybe Breslow did do his homework. Maybe he does have a nice backup plan. I'm actually kind of questioning myself on why, even though the Cubs big names are out there, the Matt Shaws, the Nico Horners, why did we never even think about Caleb Durbin? Maybe it was just because we never knew that he was going to be available with the Brewers, but I guess we were a little naive here and we didn't really do enough to think about, wow, what could this have done if the Red Sox wanted to make a move for him? The more this went on today at the very beginning, I was like, oh, great. Who's this? What did we do now? Why did we make this move? Is this just a move to make a move? Yeah. The nice thing when we do our podcasts and we do our shows is we get a chance to talk. We get a chance to break things down. We get a chance to hear our opinions and then see statistics to understand more about moves and why they happen. Yeah. I think we have successfully done a really nice job here tonight, storytelling the reasonings why this move makes sense. And for the first time, I think maybe this offseason, I don't think we're screaming saying, why did we do this? Why? I think we're all in agreement that this was a move that we're cool with. Even with the Wilson Contreras, I think we were all still questioning it. Why did we make this? Because I think we were still all mad about why Pete Alonso wasn't here and why Kyle Schwarber wasn't here. I think we can officially say this is one of those moves this offseason that we're cool with.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't hate the move. I like the move. I just don't know if I love it yet. That's been my take the whole time. But I said to John before we actually started the show, I think I mentioned to him, I said, you're outside of Roman Anthony, let's say, we don't know what the potential home run bat looks like there, but this is a team, I think, that it's not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark 5-6 times a night, but it could be a team that has a lot of traffic on the bases.
Which we need.
Which, kind of is a little old school Red Sox. And I'm fine with that. If we score 6-7 runs a game and there isn't a home run hit, it's okay. We can live that way. I want to go into comments just to see what we have here. Nick is a thirsty boy. He worked really hard all day. So, yeah, we usually try to take a little bit of a drink here.
Plus snuck in a workout, too. I'm a 7-day-a-week kind of guy, No days of rest here.
Matthew Wright, this is the same movie every year. Bad pitching decisions, lifeless offense, and the fans being asked to clap for potential. I've always said that potential is the worst word in sports. But you know what? I think the more that if you look at this, as much as we've analyzed it tonight, I don't think it's looking bad. I think you might be able to accept this, but we'll see how it goes. TD 1288. I love this deal. Was a steal for a guy who had never pitched in this organization. The cherry in the ice cream is the draft pick. If I'm correct, top 65. I think it's the 67th pick, if I recall correctly.
Yep, I did see that. It's 67.
And I did put a tweet out. I'm like, that's pretty good. I like that. So we'll see. But it's pretty clear Harrison probably didn't have a big role here. He wasn't going to be a starter. You already got 5 starters. You made it clear what your rotation is. The only question really is, in my mind, will it be Oviedo or could it be somebody else win that job? And I'm talking like Early, something like that. I really think Early's going to start the year in the minors. I think they want to season him and Tolley much more and get them more reps, more innings. TD also says Siegler's also a catcher. I put this out on Twitter. It's if I have the numbers right, it's the 187th catcher that Breslow acquired this offseason.
Yeah, pitchers and catchers are arriving tomorrow, so the whole team will be there.
Yeah, it's the whole bus. Yeah, they have one bus.
Yeah, they'll all be there tomorrow. So if you were looking for any of them, they're all there. Don't worry.
Yep. So they didn't give up Tolley or Early, and they got Durbin, not Marte, not Paredes, not Horner. So it's nothing. That's I don't know the rest of Chris's thing there. But, look, I mean, it's pretty clear from what we were talking about tonight that Shaw would have cost you more. I think it's pretty clear. So you were able to get him for a lot cheaper, Durbin. We'll see how it goes.
Did you guys actually want Isaiah Perales from the Astros? We never talked about it because I was on team no.
I wasn't a big fan of him at all. Like obviously like you have the Green Monster and he's a big pull side hitter, but the defense is at best average on Paredes, and I don't know, you only get him for 2 years and you're giving up more than you did for Durbin. So,
remember the Astros kind of have a monster. Kind of a little bit.
Yeah, and he's also a not injury guy. He was hurt for I think it was a hamstring last year. I don't know. I've never been huge on him, and when he started, his name started popping up. Eventually, I was like, all right, like I'd be fine with it happening. But
again, another reject from the Astros. Oh yeah, you're all set. Goodbye. Oh, and the Red Sox take them on. Yeah, I'm all set with that soap opera.
Well, it's clear, Nick, that Paredes was going to cost them too much because otherwise, I think the deal would have been done.
I agree.
A while back. Yeah. So it was one of those things that they couldn't agree on.
And probably Nico Horner was going to cost him an arm and a leg too. It's probably why they also had to pivot.
But to answer your question, did I want him? I think I was more enamored with I wanted something.
Yeah.
Something that wasn't going to be Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at third. Okay. Yeah. I wanted more than that. That was not good enough. And I'll give you another question, Nick, because you brought this up a million times. Are you more satisfied with Durbin than Donovan?
Yes, I am. And I think we were settling on Donovan. I think that's why. And I think the reason we were doing that from the offseason is BFF, Chaim Bloom to the rescue. I think that's the reason why we were trying to tell ourselves that if this is what it's going to be, accept it. I was very pleased to know that Donovan was not going to be a Red Sox. I was very happy with that. Again, left-handed hitter again, very redundant. Could he have been okay here? I think so. I think it would have been fine. But I think that the Durbin side of things, to me, is more convincing that he's going to be the better player here over the long haul to impact this team and hopefully win some ball games with.
Yeah, and I think that's another key point that you brought up, the fact that he's a right-hander, Durbin. That's key.
You desperately needed a right-handed hitter.
Definitely desperately needed a right-handed hitter, especially with losing Bregman. And especially if Roman Gonzalez is injured to start the season.
Yeah.
Christopher also said they had 4 months to get an offensive player with power. Breslow wanted filet mignon, where he only wants to give up hamburgers. That's why Durbin is here, not Shaw, Marte, Paredes, and Horner. Look, I'm with you, Chris. Like I say, I don't know what Durbin's ceiling is. We'll know by the end of the year if this was, a crap move or not. But I'm a little bit at least optimistic, and for someone who's never optimistic about this team over the last few years.
The amount of people that are still chirping on Marte, you folks got to move on.
He's not coming here.
It's not going to do you any good, folks, with just continuing to say, I want Marte. It's not happening. And I'm going to be the one that I've told you from the very beginning. I personally don't think Marte would have fit well here with the Red Sox.
He's a headache. There's no doubt about it. There's been our
talent. There's everything. I'm not taking that away from any of it. But I think we would have been very disappointed with the player we got in Marte, specifically having to give up the players in return.
Yeah.
I think this was the best of both worlds right here for the Red Sox to at least give this a chance.
Yeah. And you didn't give up any of your headliners. TD says the kid Durbin is Rafaela 2.0. I totally disagree. He doesn't have the speed Rafaela does. He puts the ball in play. He's higher contact, doesn't strike out like Rafaela does. I don't know where
that comp came from. That's very inaccurate.
That's not even a real comparison. Jim, we gave nothing for Rafael 2.0. Common to compare him to Breggy is truly unfair with this kid. Again, just to kind of reiterate, it's probably what Nick was saying earlier. I'm not comparing him to Bregman at all. It was only a financial standpoint based on what you got. You paid $40 million. Don't forget, the Red Sox, not us, but you. All right, you got to be careful with every word you say on Twitter. The Red Sox paid $40 million for that production. That's my point. Luis, Jim, you forgot you are close to the minimum year lockout, so many to Henry. Yeah, look, that's a good point. We still have this impending lockout next year. You got Durbin, you got him under control for 6 seasons. Chris also says this team has lost Devers and Bregman in back-to-back years, and the way I see it, they replaced him with Contreras, IKF he meant, and Durbin. End of story. Suarez doesn't count. He's a pitcher, so you know what? We'll see how it goes, Chris. I mean, I would have loved big boppers too. I think we're all in agreement. We wanted, somebody like
we wanted Alonso,
we wanted Alonso, or we wanted Bregman back, or we wanted Eugenio Suarez. I wanted a 40 home run guy in that lineup. It's not happening. So we got to just try to love this team.
We all going into the offseason, did we all say we wanted to we didn't want Bregman back? Were you
So here's the thing. If you look back at my tweets, I think it was early October or middle October, something like that. I think the season actually did end for the Red Sox. It could have even been November. Here's the point. I actually said at that point, I think I'm moving on from Bregman. What about Bichette? And I said this really early before Bichette was even a household name in Twitter rumors. And you can check the receipts on it. It's an old tweet,
accurate.
Okay. And I did not want Bregman back. And for a number of reasons. It was kind of more, I didn't like the idea that he mentioned his opt-out during the playoffs. Alex Bregman only cares about Alex Bregman. He's not a team player. I think he's just a mercenary. He's a hired gun. It was all about the money, and that's it. And whether he did or did not want to play in Detroit with the contract they offered, I don't know what the situation was. But, I still blame the Red Sox for a lot of what happened in that situation because they should have figured out and planned better for a team that had Devers and Bregman in the same lineup. Continuing on here, how do they improve offensively? The answer is they didn't. So if you're looking at it from the standpoint of Bregman and what he gave you, I understand he was hurt. He was basically nothing in the second half when he came back. He really wasn't. So, like Fair brought it up on our last show. If you want to go position by position, do you have an offensive upgrade at first base over what you had last year? I think the answer is clearly yes. Do you have an offensive upgrade at second base? The jury's out. Do you have an offensive upgrade at shortstop? Best would probably be a wash. I don't think Story could do better than he did last season. Do you have an offensive upgrade at third? We don't know yet. Jury's out. Outfield, Duran, probably maybe about the same. Rafaela, maybe the same. Abreu probably has a little bit more upside. The key here is obviously Roman Anthony, right? He's the guy that we're putting a lot in a stock in. So if you take that for what it's worth and translate it now to the starting rotation and the bullpen, on paper, Chris, the starting rotation should be stronger, 1 through 5. It definitely, like Thayer said in the last show, is a stronger 1 through 5 rotation, which also, and I'm a big proponent of this, takes your fringe starters. Cutter Crawford. I know Tanner Houck will not be on the team this year. He's recovering. But we'll call that a fringe starter. They're going to be in the bullpen. And this allows you to get maybe 2-3 innings out of some of these guys that if you have a poor start, they can, put in the time, give you 2 or 3 innings, save your bullpen so you don't bring in Weissert in the 7th to give up grand slams to St. Louis, right? And you don't overwork Slayton, Whitlock, and Chapman. Whitlock needs to be an 8th inning guy, not a multi-inning guy. Chapman can't produce what he did last year. Slate needs to remain healthy and be an 8th inning alternative. We need a lights out back end of the bullpen, 7, 8, 9, to go with a rotation that can go 6 solid strong every night. So, yes, your offense could be worse. It could be a push, but the potential for your rotation and your pitching staff is much better. Harrison is at best a number 5. His control is one of the worst Sox seen in earlier. San Francisco did remember experts on pitching. Well, he's gone now, so, it really almost
doesn't matter to us anymore.
Doesn't matter. Chris says, Red Sox, the way they operate today, they're never going to be in the hunt for top-end free agents, not next year or in the year after. That's why Bregman, Alonso, or Bichette is not here. Get used to it. I'm not happy. I wanted Bichette. I made that clear. Nick wanted Alonso. John, I don't know what your thoughts were, who your number 1 pick was, but we all want the top stars. But at this point, it is what it is. So we'll see. Again, I wasn't comparing Breggy and Durbin. Let's see here, Nick. I also have a looming year-long lockout. Yeah, we talked about that already. JP, love you guys, but I hate this pickup. Like I said, we'll see how it goes. Chris again, who cares? 3 years down the road, the team signed Bregman this year with a Contreras trade, Sonny Gray trade. This is a trade you could make the World Series this year, even without signing Soros. How do we know that Bregman was going to be healthy? I think that's a concern too. I mean, there's no guarantee, and
Chris, no disrespect for your takes tonight, pal, but you're going to make me have to take another aspirin, my friend. Holy moly.
Just try to kind of quick through a few other ones. Sox still lacking 1 power hitter. That's why we can't get players like Devers. We'll see. Hopefully Roman Anthony replaces that from that point of view.
Sox are still lacking 1. They're not just lacking 1. Where are some of these things coming from, folks? Yeah. They're lacking multiple. You don't have any power hitting. Where is this coming from? I mean, Jim, some of these comments tonight, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I'd say they're lacking the power hitter, and then they're lacking the fear factor hitter. They're
Lord, people.
Rafael Devers, that's who they're lacking. It's the guy that could jack you 30, and then the guy that you have to pitch around with in the 7th and 9th inning of every game.
We told you in the offseason, Jim and I both, this is even before John came to the crew, 2 power hitters bare minimum to anchor this lineup, and you've failed miserably. You don't have any of it. Yeah. So now the Red Sox, again, pivot, have to make a new plan. These are not the plans that was supposed to be happening this offseason, but this is where we're at. This is where they settled. What do you folks want? I mean, you can't get Pete Alonso now. He's gone. You can't get Kyle Schwarber. He's gone too. Bo Bichette's gone. Alex Bregman's gone. You got to do something.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a trade for a major piece because they want too much. Seriously, remember the name Tolle. He's going to be an ace. We'll see how it goes. I'm not overly. I don't know. He kind of.
I have no opinion.
I'm higher on early than Tolle.
Yeah, I agree there. Tolle's got a lot of work to do. If he's going to be a starter, he needs to develop 2 secondary pitches.
Yeah, I think he is a starter. I think are you the 3 to 5 or are you a 1 or 2? And I think with early, at least right now, it's a lot easier to see that 1 or 2 upside with him than with Tolle.
Yeah, my opinion on Tolle is if he's going to develop a plus 1 or 2 secondary pitches, he could be a starter. If he's not going to develop that, then you're looking at a bullpen piece. So
yeah, and with Crochet
in Worcester for development.
Yeah, and I mean with Crochet, he's known for his fastball. His best pitch is his slider or his sweeper. That's his best pitch, but you don't hear about that because he has that overpowering fastball. Sure. So with Tolle, he needs to that sweeper, slider, whatever he uses has to be that is his strikeout pitch, his put away pitch, and he doesn't have that right now, and that's his biggest problem.
Gonna wrap it up. Nick, any final takes before we close out for the evening?
The last comment was from Pasha, was my favorite one so far that I've seen in the comment section, outside of saying I'm thirsty. Well, I am thirsty, very thirsty. I love Roman, but he's proved nothing yet in performance and health. I wouldn't say he hasn't proven anything, but it's a big season here. It's a big season. You have desperately got to figure out who Roman Anthony is, because if he is not, and he isn't this anchor and this mainstay in this team with this big contract extension that they just gave him, it is not going to be a fun season. It's Roman Anthony or bust for 2026.
John, your final comments before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, all I just have some notes down on what Cora and Breslow said today during their media sessions. Yeah, Cora brought up that there is no commitment yet on who's going to be playing second or third. I think that's a major step in the right direction from what we got last year, where he told us what it was going to be, and then in 24 hours it was completely different. Yep. He said he believes that the offense can be better than it was last year. He said, in quotes, I think there'll be a lot of games that we could win with 3 or 4 runs, to point out what the defense is going to be with the pitchers that everybody just hits ground balls off of. He hopes to have Willier as an everyday player. And he said that Ceddanne Rafael is going to be locked up in center field. Hopefully he's not lying about that. And then what I thought was kind of funny, but he said he compared Isaiah Kiner-Falefa's clubhouse presence to Rob Refsnyder, which I don't know if that's worth $6 million, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I saw some of that too. My thing is this: if Abreu can hit left-handed pitching, we will probably be very pleased. And Falefa, it's just about another infield guy. I mean, I don't think that's going to really amount to much. But I think the bigger thing is here, guys, is that it's pretty clear that this is your team for 2026. Barring any kind of unforeseen injury, I don't see any other moves happening. There might be some kind of single A type thing, but nothing more major league roster wise. And we'll see how it goes. But that being said, I want to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank both John and Nick for being on with us tonight. If you haven't subscribed yet to our digital product, please go to RedSoxDigest.com and sign up for a free subscription. You can also get a paid subscription with a lot of goodies. And also, too, if you are a active follower of the Bastards of Boston baseball, we have a raffle going right now. Unfollow them and go ahead and send us
the best gift you give yourself of the 2026 season.
And send us an email with a screenshot at the Red Sox Digest.com or the Red Sox Digest at gmail.com, the Red Sox Digest at gmail.com, and you'll automatically be entered to win a copy of the MLB The Show 2026. And we will be giving that out and raffling it off in March. So hopefully you go ahead and enter for that. Other than that, I'd like to wish everybody a great night. Thank you, everybody, for the comments. We appreciate them all. We appreciate all our viewers. And we will see you on the next episode if anything groundbreaking happens. Spring training is here. Let's hope for a great spring. And number one of anything is health with all the players. Nick?
And most importantly, bring your catcher's mitt.
Yeah, a lot of catchers coming. A lot of catchers. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.
I'm going to Doug Mirabelli myself. Good night.